Hi, I'm Tim Roble, and welcome to another episode of Adventure Athlete. Today I'm here to talk about my Am X3 XRC and some of the mods that I've done to it. One of the ones that I really wanted to touch on today is, I'll call it a tall guy mod. The interior of this car is a little bit laid out, and it's a little tough to get 6'3" and long legs in the car. So first of all, I run the seats on the high mount in the front and the lowest mount in the rear. Kind of puts them on a nice angle and it allows your legs to kind of pivot. I'm on my third generation of cutting on the dash now, and this is my final solution. So what I've done is I was trying not to relocate the key, but that was something that had to be done to get the clearance that I needed. After this last 9 days in the car, back to back, bouncing around, my knee has taken some dinks on it, as well as crashing on the mountain bike. But my knee kept hitting up in here on the key, and I had this trimmed as much as I could trim it right underneath that key, and it just still wasn't enough. So now I get in the car, and you can already tell that there is a lot more leg room. And now I have, not only the padding to brace me and set everything up, but I have the extra inch or two of clearance. Now with this, I guess that's a radio ID key. With that, I did not want to cut the factory harness and make it longer. In a perfect world, I would like to put the key down in here and not up top and susceptible to mud. But with the cockpit of this car now, I'm laid out comfortable. All my visuals are good. If I do happen to do like a King of the Hammers race, that'll probably be the only race that I do in this car, if I do that. But I did build this car around King of the Hammers, because that's the type of riding that I like to go do. But you can see the visibility out of the car is 12¼ inches better than the factory cage with the intrusion bar in it. And this just gives me such a good, I'm kind of up with my eye level here, and it gives you such a great point of view of the car. You can see the front tire for a good placement. On the brakes, you can actually see the front tire in the on the passenger side, which is nice. Great visibility out of the car, as well as great visibility out of the car looking in the mirror. Backing up, I am going to put side mirrors back on the car. I did that for rocks, but I really do miss side mirrors when I'm trying to back up. So I will get a side mirror back on the car. That might be something I even do out of stainless. I got some really nice billet mirrors, but they're kind of big and kind of bulky, so I might just weld me a little hoop out for the mirror and keep it close, so I can just look and see and go from there. Layout and ergonomics inside this cab is beautiful. One of the things I really appreciate is this Razorback belt temp gauge. That thing has given me a nice peace of mind, and I think the highest belt temps I saw on this total trip was like a 57, 157 I should say, and that was super good. I'm still on the stock belt. I have a little over I think I'm coming up on like 780 miles or 870 miles on the car. I got these gas struts. I ordered these off of Amazon, and they came with a little ball screw that I had to order extra, but this was about $30 for this kit, and it's a nice hold open. I got a lot of tools and stuff in the bags, but it's a nice not so much a self-opening. I mean, they will, but when you place the door where you want it, it stays. And that was a very nice thing to have. As some of you have watched the videos before, you know that I run 35s on the car. So how is this car living with 35-inch tires on it? So my other set of tires for it is the 35 Maxxis Rockzillas, which weigh in 11 pounds heavier than this Tensor Desert tire. What I like about those Maxxis is they really do shape and form. They're a radial tire, and they do a great job of forming and giving you a nice supple ride. Tensors are tough. Now I have probably 500 to 600 miles on the Tensors, and you can see I'm starting to see some wear, and we really did some hammering the third day out coming out of Bar 10 Ranch. When I was in Moab, I had DynoJet matte, reflashed the car with the DynoJet tunes. I left Eco alone, so I did all my rock crawling for the most part in Eco, and I did a lot of the Bar 10 because we were trying to get mileage out of the car. I did put a rotopack on the back, speaking of mileage, and this is a mount that I had to kind of do some machining and stuff on and double stack it to accept the gas can with this offset of wheel. So with the other wheel on, I take this off and I just take this and put this back down into here, and then that makes it a very nice fit on when I'm running the Maxuses, and then this is a nice fit for when I run the Tensors. That's the rotopacks there, but I did not have to get into the 3 gallons of gas. We did like 107 the first day, I think 115 the second, and almost 130 the third day, but it was very in terrain. We did go up a mountain pass from like 4,200 feet down to up to 9,200, 42 to 9,200, and it was like an old Pikes Peak rally road. And I flipped the car into the sport mode, and that gave me a full 205 horsepower, which, you know, speaking is it's a lot for the car. Stock axles, stock belt temps were all great. Most of the time my belt temps were in the 140s to 150s going up that, hammering down, and everything held together. I thought if I was going to break the car, that would be the day to do it. I will go into the pull the cover. I'm going to do a full prep on this car now. Oil change, grease everything again, and I'll do the quick pins, pull that all off. I do have a liner in that in case I did throw a belt at speed that hopefully would keep that casing together. But I haven't touched the belt. I haven't inspected the belt. I haven't done anything to the car for axles or clutching, and it pulls the 35s beautifully. Unbelievable. I mean, I have money set aside for clutching. So far, I'm not gonna touch it because it's working great for me. So unless I start going through belts or something starts to happen or wear out because of the clutching's wrong, or maybe it isn't wrong. I don't know. I can't imagine that it's right for the 35s, but it works, and I'm not gonna mess with something that's working beautifully. So some of my thoughts for the car for mods. So if you guys follow this channel, you'll notice that I run the CT racing arms, and I did that when I did the bulkhead and everything on the car. I have the TMW 4130 chromoly bulkhead that makes the whole front end double shear, and then I built this X brace and kind of changed up the look of the front end of the car, which I absolutely love. I love the visibility out of the car. So we did a lot of mud, a lot of Utah mud, days 1, 2, and 3 on the Bar 10, and it was faster speeds, 35, 40 miles an hour. So I got some mud in the car, but everything held up really well, and the narrow front end with no plastics didn't do too bad with being muddy. Now the car was caked with mud when I got back. But everything worked really, really well. So plans for the car, where I'm talking about the CT arms, I think I'm going to do the CT rear arms. They're not cheap, but they give you 4 inches more of ground clearance. And this is something that if you're going to drag in the rocks, that trailing arm is something that you do. So right underneath the shock, you gain 4 inches with their arm design, and I'm going to go with that. While we're talking about that, you can see I use a product right here that's called Cross Thread. It's a paintable deal on all your bolts, so you can just instantly walk around the car and you can check the bolts out and see, like, hey, is everything still lined up? Is everything good? That was a nice peace of mind because it just made for quick reference. On the trip, the only thing that I experienced that came loose was this front sway bar right in here. This bracket right here came loose, or bolt came loose. I tightened that back up. I do plan on checking for an alternative way to do that. Probably a bushing would probably make sense. I think shock Therapy sells something like that, so I may be looking at that. If not, for sure, I'll at least red Loctite that so it doesn't come loose. But the arms held up good. I love the front end on the car. Visibility out of the car is great. Performance out of the car is great. Couldn't be happier with this setup. I think I am going to stay with stock axles till that starts to become a problem. As I would rather have an axle be a fusible link than blow up a differential. Have a feeling that that front differential is going to be expensive to replace. Anyway, what else can I say? I love the visibility out of the car. Have you seen the new 2020 Can-Ams? The XRC now comes with 205 horsepower and 32-inch Maxxis Liberty tires on it. So it kind of tells you that Can-Am is kind of designing this car around higher horsepower. It has more potential. If it's starting out a 205 stock, I would imagine like a 230 with a flash would be pretty crazy. For me, the 175 with the exhaust probably put me about 180. I had it flashed out in Moab to give me 205. I didn't really notice a crazy jump. It's there, you know, it's noticeably faster and it pulls a little harder out of the corners. But I'm not looking for more power. I think when we start getting crazy, we start running into drive belt issues and we start running into issues with axles. And right now I'm happy with this package. It's super fast. The suspension works amazing. I have to rate this car about a 9.5. Of course, there's always something that you can do to it. And you know, what I do is develop products. So I gotta say, I think this car as it sits is just about perfect. I will play with, you know, trailing arms and still do a little bit of tuning, but I really did hammer down in this car, and I cannot believe with how well it did. Now on the Bar 10 ride, we were fully supported or unsupported, so we took all of our gear, all of our tools, everything with us. It wasn't a day loop and then come back. We drove 110 miles to get to Bar 10, and then we did, you know, 115 the next day and about 130 coming back. I can count on this configuration for me and my driving style down in Eco. I know my car can do about 120, 130 miles. Now I did use the Rotopack as a safe way to do it. I had 3 gallons of extra fuel. I didn't need it. I love with how low this car sits. Compared to the Razor, it's probably like a full foot shorter, and it's just squatty, and I like that. Not down in the Razor. I think they make a great product, and I think they probably have 70 to 80% of the market. S&B particle separator worked great. I have checked the air filter, and you could not tell that it's even not brand new. I don't know exactly how that works, but it creates a centrifugal force and takes the rocks and everything and puts them out of this this lower section, and so you get clean air going into the filter. Kind of a nice peace of mind when you're out riding with a bunch of other people. What can I say? I love the sound of the exhaust. It's not too loud, and it's definitely, you know, you're driving a spirited vehicle. The front of the car in the sport mode on a surface where you can get bite will lift the front end, I'm told. I suspected that before, that the car was light in the front and wheeling, but yeah, there's a couple inches of air underneath the front tire just on a flat surface. So super impressed with that. I love the factory seats. I'm not looking to do any changes on that. I like how easy and the maintenance is on the car as far as washing goes. This thing was super filthy. I do have some stains on the roof that I was not able to get out, so I'll either have to buff that with aluminum polish, or I'm thinking I may do a have it wrapped. Put something cool up there, you know, not super flashy, but I think the vinyl would be easier to take care of than the raw aluminum. I do plan on building a front bumper for the car. Had an incident out in Moab where a guy thought he should back up into me. It was super close. Now all of this is all 4130 120 wall, And then some of the framing down here and everything is like a 95 thousandths, but I didn't want him backing into my stuff, so I will be doing a bumper, something probably an arc radius that comes up high, and I probably will have that tie in to this front area. But I love the visibility once again out of the car. It's great. I think that's about it that I can say about the car. As you can tell, I'm super impressed. I wish it was 2020 and I would have had the orange color because I'm a KTM guy, but this blue has grown on me, and it is what it is. I won't be I'm not looking to replace this car with the new model. Once again, super happy, and I need to finish up a few little things like make this side's dash panel. It's going to be a little bit more complicated than doing the driver's side, but it'll be good. As far as the key goes, I don't know if I've already shown that or not from this angle, but there she sits, and not a bad place for it. Not exactly perfect. I will be making a switch cover right here, and it'll be something just simple out of aluminum that comes out to cover the back side right here. You can kind of see that I've had some duct tape on there, and the duct tape worked good. It just didn't last as long as I would have liked it to last. What has happened is you'll throw a rock or catch a rock, and it'll come in, and twice now it's come down and got in between the eco and sport mode switch. So you know, I couldn't figure out, like, why can't I go to sport? Well, because it was stuck with a rock behind it. Anyway, that's going to be it for now. Hopefully I'm not too long-winded, and hopefully you've learned some things and know where I'm going. But I do have to give this car 2 thumbs up. Super impressed with it. Once again, I'm trying to grow the channel. If you guys would like, subscribe, and you have any questions or comments, I always appreciate those, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys' views. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Tim Roble, and I'll catch you here next time.